In the heart of the bustling city, the headquarters of Bridgestone Enterprises towered above the streets, a beacon of corporate success and ambition. On this particular morning, 15 hopeful candidates arrived, each vying for a coveted position within the esteemed company. They were prepared for rigorous interviews, challenging questions, and thorough evaluations. However, none anticipated that their true test would begin the moment they stepped through the glass doors, orchestrated by none other than the company's enigmatic CEO, Claire Henley. What unfolded next would not only reveal their professional aptitudes but also uncover the depths of their character in ways they could never have imagined. 15 candidates arrived on time, dressed sharp, resumes in hand, and nerves on edge. They were competing for a dream job at one of the top companies in the city. None of them knew that their final test had already begun the moment they walked in. The waiting room was sleek and modern, but oddly, no receptionist was present. Instead, an older woman in a janitor's uniform was struggling to mop the floor near the entrance. Her cart was tipped over, and the dirty water had spilled across the tiles. As candidates filtered in, they stepped around her carefully, or ignored her altogether. Except for 3. Maya, a soft-spoken woman with a passion for design, bent down immediately. "Are you okay? Let me help you," she said, grabbing paper towels from her own bag. Tyrese, a tall, former military man, walked in moments later. Without hesitation, he righted the cart, checked to make sure she wasn't injured, and helped her clean up. Anita, a young woman with big glasses and bigger ideas, returned with a cup of coffee from the break room. "Thought you might need this," she smiled, handing it to the woman. The others? They sat in silence. One candidate even muttered, "Where's the HR rep? We don't have time for this nonsense." At 9:15 sharp, the janitor removed her cap, stood tall, and wiped the smudges from her face. The room went silent. She wasn't a janitor at all. She was Claire Henley, the CEO of Bridgestone Enterprises. "I've seen everything I need to see," she said, her voice calm but commanding. A few people looked confused. A few gulped. Maya looked like she'd seen a ghost. "This job isn't just about skills on paper," Claire continued. "It's about character, kindness, how you treat people when you think they don't matter." She walked up to Maya, Tyrese, and Anita. "You 3, follow me. The rest of you, thank you for your time." Maya blinked. "Wait, that was the interview?" Claire smiled. "That was the test." As the chosen 3 walked into the executive boardroom, the others sat frozen in stunned silence. Inside the glass-walled boardroom, Maya, Tyrese, and Anita sat across from Claire Henley. She had transformed from the frazzled janitor into a picture of power, sleek suit, flawless posture, and an intensity in her eyes that both inspired and unnerved. Claire looked at each of them silently for a moment. Then she leaned forward. "I started this company in my garage," she said, her voice quieter now but charged with feeling. "Before I was CEO Claire, I cleaned offices at night to pay rent and fed my daughter with leftover food from break rooms." The 3 candidates listened closely. "Most of the world didn't see me. They walked past me like I was nothing," she continued. "So, when I built Bridgestone, I made a rule: I would never hire someone who looked down on others." She stood and walked over to the window. "But this company is also growing faster than ever. I need leaders. And that's what today was really about, testing your instincts." She turned back to them. "You passed the kindness test. But now comes the second part." Claire snapped her fingers and a side door opened. A sharply dressed man with a tablet entered. "These 3 will be shadowing department heads for the next 72 hours, he said. "No formal training. No coddling. You either adapt, or you go home." Maya's heart raced. Tyrese smiled, clearly ready. Anita blinked twice but nodded. They were in. But just as they stood to follow the man, Claire called out, "Wait." They turned back. She looked directly at Maya. "There's something else you should know." Claire walked over and placed a hand gently on Maya's shoulder. "The coffee you brought me? That cup cost less than $2, but the gesture reminded me of something I forgot for a long time. Maya looked puzzled. Claire reached into a small drawer on the conference table and pulled out a faded envelope. When I was still a janitor, she said, someone once left a cup of coffee on my cart with a note that said, "You matter even if they don't see you." It kept me going through the hardest winter of my life. Claire handed Maya the envelope. Inside was the note, yellowed but still legible. The handwriting was unmistakably Maya's. Maya's eyes widened. I wrote this 10 years ago. That was you? Claire nodded, her eyes shining. I never forgot your kindness, Maya. I've looked for you ever since. The room fell into stunned silence. You didn't just pass the test, Claire said softly. You helped build the reason for it. Maya stood frozen, holding the envelope, her eyes brimming with tears. The room, once cold with professionalism, now pulsed with something deeper, human connection. I never imagined something so small could mean that much, Maya whispered. Claire smiled gently. That's the thing about kindness. It doesn't need to be loud. It just needs to be real. Anita wiped her glasses, clearly moved. Tyrese cleared his throat. I guess we all have something driving us here. Claire looked to him. What's yours? Tyrese hesitated, then replied, I lost my brother last year. He was brilliant, top of his class, but he couldn't find a job. Said the world only cared about polish, not heart. I promised I'd do things differently. That I'd earn a seat at the table, and change how the table worked. Claire gave a single nod of approval. And you, Anita? Anita fiddled with the corner of her blouse. I grew up with nothing. My mom cleaned houses. People used to act like she was invisible. I guess I always wanted to build something where people like her didn't feel small. Claire's eyes sparkled. Then maybe this is fate. Because this company is about to change. She walked over to a whiteboard and flipped it. On it were the words, Project Equal, New Department, New Direction, New Culture. This is my new initiative, she said. An internal movement that ensures people of every background get a real shot, not just those with perfect resumes. She turned to them with finality. I want you three to lead it. Together. They blinked in disbelief. But we haven't even officially started, Maya said. That's exactly why, Claire replied. You still see the world with fresh eyes and open hearts. I'll give you mentors, a team, a budget. But I want your vision. We'll grow it together. A massive banner hung across the front lobby, Project Equal, 1 year strong. Hundreds of employees, new hires from every walk of life, stood gathered, applauding as Claire, Maya, Tyrese, and Anita took the stage. The program had launched mentorships for underprivileged youth, rewritten hiring policies, and partnered with local schools. Maya stepped up to the mic. Some of us made it here with degrees. Others made it here with grit. But we're all here because someone believed we mattered. The crowd erupted. Anita smiled wide. Tyrese gave a subtle nod. Claire, standing in the back now, just watched, proud. And in that moment it was clear. The test had become a movement. The ripple had become a wave. And it all started with a single quiet act of kindness. And so, from a simple act of kindness, a cup of coffee and a heartfelt note, a transformative journey began. Maya, Tyrese, and Anita didn't just earn positions at Bridgestone Enterprises. They became catalysts for change, embodying the very values that Claire Henley held dear. Their story serves as a poignant reminder that our everyday actions, no matter how small, can have profound impacts on others' lives. Inspired by this tale? Reflect on your own daily interactions. A simple gesture of kindness can ripple outward, creating waves of positive change. Share this story with friends and colleagues to spread the message. Let's champion empathy and integrity in our communities and workplaces.